Well, you know, every project that we speak to always ask, what does it mean for my business? Okay, when we say, hey, are you looking at a roll-up? They say, well, can you tell us about roll-ups in our industry? Right? So everybody is looking for use cases, and they want to understand how will it benefit them specifically. So we put together a stellar panel right now of projects who are building, who have set up roll-ups, who are in the process of you know, moving to mainnet. Some of them have moved to mainnet. And so it's going to be all about customer use cases, driving innovation. And I'd like to invite you know, the various panelists on board. Manit Gogar, yeah, Manit Gogar is you know, he's a CMO at the Binary Holdings. They have, last I was told, they have 40 million users on chain from various telcos. So that's an amazing consumer base that they have, which can be leveraged in a very significant way. I'd also like to invite Aidon Liu. Aidon. Oh yeah, Aidon is a rock star, you know. I mean, he's a movie star. So often you find the TV crew following him. So if you want to star in any TV serial, please hang around with Aidon. Yeah, please come up on stage. Yeah, Manit, Aidon, yeah. I'd also like to invite Robin Babu. Yeah, Robin is a dear friend, co-founder and CEO at Tavera Labs. You know, they're building something amazing on, you know, on the gaming front, on the ZK stack. Aidon is the co-founder of Pentagon Games, who are building, you know, an amazing gaming, you know, chain on Polygon CDK. And Manit Gogar is part of Binary, which is building on OP stack. We roll up on OP stack. And Ramani. Yeah, there you are. Yeah, we missed Ramani at Singapore. Yeah, he got stuck in the traffic, but we were fortunate to have him with us. And is Georgie here? Hey, Georgie, come up here. Georgie is Wirex Pay. They are building on Polygon CDK. And we'll need an additional chair for our moderator for today, Ghan Vashisht, who's the co-founder and CTO at Zeeve. So, friends, the floor is yours.
I think I'll have the special chair. I think not as here. I think you already know of all of them, but I think I'll be pointing straight questions at them about, you know, use cases, because these are, you know, some of the panelists who have done it already. Some are already in the process. So you would get to hear the most important aspects of why do you, you know, build on a roll-up, and if you build on a roll-up, what do you consider? And what kind of use cases, you know, you can actually realize which makes an impact when you build them on a roll-up. And of course, across stacks, like Thomas already mentioned, you know, the use cases are built on different stacks, not just, you know, one stack. So I'll start with, you know, Georgie, you, because you're building a payment use case. So I think, what is that payment use case you're building at Wirex, and you know, you can talk about it a little bit.
Sure. Thanks for having me here, guys. It's a bit of a surprise to be on stage. So Wirex has been around for quite a while. For those who haven't come across, we're most known for the crypto debit card. We were the first company in the market to issue one at scale as early as 2015. It wasn't even a crypto debit card, it was a Bitcoin debit card at the time, because Ethereum didn't yet exist, not to mention all the L2s, L3s, etc. And it's working perfect. So we wanted to make crypto spendable in real life, because if it's money, money is a means of exchange. It's one of the fundamental features of money. And it's been running successfully. We've got 6 million registered users. We've issued well over a million and a half cards, something like that. So people have been paying with crypto, not only crypto, fiat as well, but crypto was the main differentiator since 2015. But it has always been custodial for technical architectural reasons. As much as we would like people to be able to spend Bitcoin or stablecoin directly from their on-chain wallets, it's just not possible from speed of transaction perspective, because on Visa and MasterCard networks, we're talking like 40, 50 milliseconds. On Bitcoin network, we're talking minutes. In times of congestions, potentially hours. So only thanks to rollups coming up, it's now finally possible to make that old dream we had nearly 10 years ago now come true. So when users bridge their assets to a rollup, ours is built on Polygon ZK stack, but like nothing limits us from expanding it to other chains as well, because the complex part is this fiat regulatory card infrastructure, all the banking relationships, Visa, MasterCards, all that takes years to build. But now it's finally possible to spend your on-chain funds directly from your wallet without ever giving out custody of your funds to Wirex, to anyone. Something happens to Wirex, although thankfully we've been around for 3 bear markets already, you still get access to your funds because you hold your keys. Or something happens to you as a user, like you were using your card to buy weapons and we have to block your account. We can block the account, but we can't touch the funds because the user still controls the keys. So that's kind of the dream coming true. It's still fairly not the ideal UI UX compared to the more traditional fintechs or the one that we have in Wirex app, which is like a neobanking type of experience. It's still, you have to know how to use an on-chain wallet, you have to know how to bridge your assets. There's still some friction points here and there, but fundamentally it's finally possible to actually be your own bank without losing, without missing out on access to real-world payment instruments. And now it's the card. Going forward, we'll add IBANs and various other regional payment rails, so this kind of Web3 banking is finally becoming possible, and thanks to rollups.
Right. Thank you, Georgie, for making payments possible this way on Web3. I'm sure none of us is going to buy weapons. But yeah, games for sure. But before we move on to the games, Manit, we are sitting in the right order, I guess, payments and then banking and telecom. So what are you building when it comes to banking and telecom?
Yeah, sure. Again, thanks for having me here today. I guess for everyone's benefit, the Binary Holdings effectively is a Web3 infrastructure builder for telecom, primarily telecom companies, but with a wider focus on enterprise as a whole, so banks, fintechs, e-com, game publishers, even. Any enterprise that has a large retail captive base and wants to look to better engagement, retention, activation, and improve revenue incrementally per user, we can go. Our products are synergistic. Telecom banking are very businesses, and so a lot of the kind of tools and products that they've used to kind of address these challenges, right, engagement, activation, have started to play, or at least almost every other player in the industry is using the same tools, right? And so what we do for enterprise or telco primarily is we build tokenized, 2 things primarily. A, it's a tokenized cashback program that we embed within their entire ecosystem, which runs in parallel to their loyalty programs, right? And as most loyalty programs are extremely massive cost centers for these large enterprises. And so running these tokenized cashback programs in parallel allows them to kind of eventually transition and to offload this large cost component off their balance sheet. So that's number 1. Where we've transitioned today is we've embedded natively within their mobile apps a Web3 dApp store, right? And the reason for that is it's a very natural kind of evolution from where we started with the tokenized cashback program, because now we need to give avenues to these users to spend these things, right? And that's a crucial next step to then unlock what I call phase 3, which is utility-driven demand. Because only once they have enough free tokens to test out different dApps will they know which dApps they want to continue engaging. And that's when we will then provide an on-ramp solution for them to buy more. And that's a kind of high-level overview we do on the enterprise side. But what that allows us to do on the Web3 side is provide our network as a distribution layer for other blockchains, right? Layer 1s and layer 2s. So we're built on OP. We're part of the OP superchain ecosystem. And the idea or the entire kind of ethos of the OP ecosystem is not to have each chain, there are 40 of them, cannibalize business from one another, right? It's all about kind of creating a more synergistic and symbiotic ecosystem. And so we provide kind of this distribution component to all the chains in the ecosystem today. Yeah.
Fantastic. How many of you are playing games nowadays on Web3? Any hands? No hands. Sorry, I don't. You have no gaming users here. But anyways, you can talk about what Pentagon Games is all about.
Yeah, great. Hello, guys. Hello.
That's a mic game.
Hello. Can I Hey, guys. So this is Aiden from Pentagon Games. So high level, we are a content discovery platform using, I would say, next generation 3D interactive browsers. So which means everything like this, your storefront, this entire experience, video games can come into a single universe. So you can almost say it's sort of like metaverse, but we're kind of tackling the problem of being able to resolve what didn't work on the last cycle, which was a big part of it, interoperability. Another part was accessible by any device. And another one was ability to really see things in VR. Our view is metaverse will come back because otherwise Apple probably wouldn't be building Apple Vision Pro. So we have a very edge technology. You can check it out. Everything information is already on pentagon.games, which is our website. And when you do a visit, you will see there's a lot of wealth of information on how we can turn anything, everything into 3D. So we believe the future of websites will be fully in 3D. So why would you have a website of this hotel showing a 2D video or pictures when you can just look at it fully interactive? No application download, and all of that is coming around end of the year when we fully launch. We're part of the TV show. Some of you guys know Crypto Nights, CryptoNights.tv. So we featured there. We actually been postponing our delay a little bit on pushing that content. One of the main differentiator, I think, for us is from a traditional arm, we have a team of actually close to around 1,200 people that does 3D interactive trailers for all of the AAA games. So one of the big things, I would say, the gap between Web 2 and Web 3 is, we kind of have the unfair advantage of able to onboard some of these AAA IPs by telling them to say, hey, I'm already making you a 3D video trailer. Now I'm actually going to give you a new product, which is a discovery with these NFT collectibles. So essentially what we're trying to convert is traditional IP, give them a new way to discover these IP in this 3D interactive web experience. Now everything you can collect digital collectibles, which are essentially NFT. Now underlying all of these digital collectibles essentially is NFTs, as I mentioned. Now, of course, we have a Rollup chain, which is a Pentagon chain. It's a CDK. Why we chose CDK was because, well, first of all, we run 2 of the 105 Polygon validator, so there's a natural inclination to go the Polygon side. But we were also looking at who were the gaming chains, because one of the key things we want to be interoperable cross-chain is to bring all these major gaming chains together. We are also validated for a large gaming chain called Oasis Games. We recently was announced that we're one of I would say the second Web3 company that got invited to join their validator network. Like within the other part of their validator network was Sega, Bandai Namco, Netmarble, so really big brands. So like we're really seeing that we start being recognized in the Web 2 space as well. So now again, so we believe the future is interoperable. So although we have a roll-up chain, the reason why we have our chain, I think earlier with the Opportun presentation, we were talking about your chain, your rules. So our rules is we are a permission chain. So all of the ecosystem, it's what I would say a regulated control environment so that we can control age and region content. So what happened is all the NFT essentially need to be approved to come into our chain. So what we can allow is miners to be able to access our chain safely because all the content are approved. Now we're keeping the decentralized ethos, which means if any of the content go non-safe for work, we bump them back to wherever they come from without destroying their assets. So I think it's a really interesting ecosystem we're putting together. Otherwise, follow our social, Pentagon Games XP. We're doing like airdrops, and we are launching end of year TGE with our gas token, which is the PEN token. Yeah.
Thank you. I have more questions for you, sure, but let's not end the gaming discussion yet because we have Robin here. So Robin, what are you building at Teva Era?
Let's start with changing basically hands going up about making Web3 gaming fun again. So Teva is focused on bringing the fun back to Web3 gaming. We are focused on being that one-stop shop for game developers and gamers to bring the passion of gaming back to life, right? We have been focused on a lot of little details about user experience, like all the things that we've been talking about, covering over here, the decentralized ethos, interop, right? All of those things are important, fast and whatnot, right? So those are all, I think we are all doing the same thing, slightly differently, but ultimately our end goal is just bring mass adoption for Web3 to our users. So we are super excited about some of the things we have done. We launched a multiplayer racing game back in 2023 with over 10 million multiplayer matches. And what that allows is users to, from different regions and different communities to come together. And when the crypto hustle is taking a toll, spend some time playing games and unwind, right? That's kind of our motto, right? When it comes to just gaming, making gaming fun again, and that, making the experience seamless. We chose ZK Sync and ZK Stack as our rollup for a few different reasons. Number one is native account abstraction, of course, decentralized, of course, fast and cheap, all of those fun things. But we believe that ZK Proof and ZK is the end game, and just kind of looking at the future of where we are headed. We're happy to collaborate and would love to see, Polygon CDK and Arbitrum and OP-Stack all kind of coming together and creating a huge network effect. But I think we'd love to see that happening. Somebody working on that. But for the time being, within the ZK Sync ecosystem, all the chains are connected together. So we share the liquidity of the players as well as the user, the financials. So again, making games fun again, and seeing a lot more hands going up. Making games safe as well, right, for minors, and those are all great things that we are doing in the gaming world.
Thank you, Robin. And I think we already see the collaboration. You see Robin from Tavera wearing the Pentagon Games cap. And I think we want an ecosystem where we see gamers playing games and experience from Tavera and Pentagon, and then using payment systems like WireX, and also participating closely with the binary holding kind of solutions. I'm really sorry. But then how it will all happen? Where is the interop? We talked about interop. We have the interop expert sitting right next to me.
And by the way, we're already on testnet using Rollup protocol, so.
Yes. So interop is here. So Ram.
Thank you guys. So yeah, I think exciting panel, a lot of cool stuff being built out, right? And I guess the use cases are plain and obvious. There's a lot of use cases spanning gaming, payments, and it's all of a piece with what we keep evangelizing with Router, which is around chain abstraction is about pushing complexity under the hood. So when people ask me what we do, we're the middle that you don't need to hear about it. We just cover a lot of feedback, so we're the plumbing and wiring statesmen, going back to the early 2000s, how the companies give the possibilities, right? Laid the foundation for the current Web3 or Facebook there, and then Web3. So we just the plumbing and the wiring for the product. One thing that with a lot of these dApps coming out and building the chains is the whole value capture argument, right? I mean, initially, Ethereum had all the fees, and then the L2 said, listen, we're going to put an R sequencer and take all our fees. And then I'm sort of intrigued, and I'd love to hear been having chats with this as well. But, how does the fee, the value capture, debate, argument, negotiation happen in a world where every chain is a pretty powerful roll-up and brings in a ton of transactions, right? I think that is going to be an interesting question going forward. And then that is, like for instance, Uniswap decided to go its own chain. So at this point, do you want to launch an L2 or you want to launch a killer dApp and then have the distribution and then launch a chain, right? So again, people like Zeeve, folks like Zeeve are going to make that happen. Folks like Router are going to be there connecting all these beautiful chains. So those are some of the thoughts coming into DevCon, playing around in my mind. But yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah. So it's great to hear the kind of use cases happening, and then the interop angle which we would need. But then I'll go back and dive a little into the tech, and I'll start with you, Georgie, again. I mean, you're looking like you're in the corner, but we'll not leave you there. So you're building on Polygon CDK. So it's a ZK rollup stack. We all know that. So why do you think ZK is a fitting choice? Of course, I'll take that question to Idon and Robin, because all of you are building ZK. So why ZK?
I'll just apologize in advance if I have something silly, because I'm a co-founder of the project, but not a technical co-founder. I think for now, for us, it was more about speed, guestless transactions, because if a user, on top of whatever fees we have to pay and cover for users for using the Visa, MasterCard, bank networks, all that, if they also had to pay gas, that would make it a less appealing thing. But going forward, I think ZK, it's not playing a part, at least in my view, yet. But going forward, although no one can identify those transactions are your transactions, because, of course, the card data is private, but the actual on-chain transactions are on-chain. And hopefully one day there will be more solutions that will allow for that information not to be entirely on-chain, because last thing we want is for someone to see like how many burgers we bought at McDonald's and that kind of thing, right? To associate this on-chain data with the off-chain. So this kind of limited information on-chain, what's public, what's not public. I think ZK could play a role going forward. But for now, again, it's mostly about speed and cost of transaction for us. And also finality, because if a person already made a purchase, but then the blockchain transaction is reverted, as it is in case of some rollups, that's not really a viable case for us in payments.
Thank you. So it's speed and finality for WireX. Idon, what is it for you in ZK?
Yeah, so I kind of alluded to a little bit, but I want to go back a little bit, Pentagon Games. We actually have two main IP, and this kind of, there's a part of the reason why I'm getting to it. First of all, we have an IP called Pentapets, which used to drive on an old IP called Ethermon. It's the first fully on-chain game on Ethereum that was built in 2018. And then we also have another IP called Blockchain Superhero. It's a USPTO trademark. Blockchain Superheroes belong to us. And this IP, we actually deploy Superhero PFP on every single blockchain. We work with 13 different blockchains, and now we'll be deploying PFP collection on every single major blockchain, including TON, including Tron, including pretty much every single ecosystem. So the idea there was always, how do I get interoperability and onboard Web3 users? So by doing that, obviously we're selling some of these superheroes to raise funds. Then we stake them, either validator or staking. Then share the gas reward to all the new users coming in. So brand new users coming in, they're totally non-Web2, but I can start sharing gas token from different chains to them. So all of a sudden, a Web2 user got all this gas token. So now, I think one of the key things, to go back to the question of why Polygon CDK, we also run the L2 for Oasis games, is we're trying to also capture the value of a cross-chain. So which means that with AgriLayer, with Polygon, they're pushing a new AgriLayer that allows you to capture some of the value from going between interchain. So from sharing rewards from different blockchain through validation, to sharing rewards of the routing protocol. So hopefully, I can strike some kind of deal here so that we can share more of this to onboard rest of the Web2 audience all into Web3. Yeah.
Perfect. So yeah, Robin, you are building right now. You will probably come out next year, sometime in January. So, what is your, inspiration about using ZK as a, core rollup ecosystem for your solution?
ZK Stack from ZK Sync has been, I think, one of the first teams to get ZK into mainnet with, I would say, battle tested, getting to a point where it's now being decentralized. So those were all important aspects for why we selected ZK Sync as our chain, just the innovation and the team behind it. But why ZK? Of course, I think its finality is fast. Then some of the other little details is native account abstraction, whether it be using paymasters or gasless transactions, but then also the hyperchain aspect of it, where you are sharing the liquidity. So we have protocols like Lens Protocol and Treasure DAO and ZK Candy and some of the other gaming chains all being built on ZK. And we are excited about them being part of the ecosystem because that brings in the liquidity of players and innovation and games that we all love to do. So I think those were some of our reasons why we picked ZK. Of course, the composability aspect of it, the flexibility of picking which configuration we wanted to go with, which is kind of default from Rollup, and the countless amount of time that you guys have spent with us in really identifying the best case scenario for us. Super thankful about the time that you spent with us as well.
No, I think thank you. But it's not all about ZK in the end. We have all sort of, rollups, be it optimistic or ZK out there. So I'll go back to Manit and I'll ask Manit, you have a OP rollup running already. It is live. And I think you might want to surprise everybody here by telling the numbers, in terms of traction you have gotten so far on your OP rollup.
Yeah, sure. So as of today, we're about 43 million wallets on chain. And that's only going to increase as we, start to onboard more enterprise customers. But OP for us was I think an obvious choice, not just from a cost and a speed standpoint, but I think the ecosystem characteristics of the superchain that OP was building and kind of their ethos was a big driver for us to kind of pick them. But yeah, I mean, it's been a great experience so far. I think working with you and OP together has been over that last, I think, 7 months. It's been fantastic.
Right. No, I think it's just good to hear that all the roll-up stacks are, becoming, one or the other choice for every new project coming out there. And, we at Zeeve, we've been helping all the projects and use cases of ours about, how do you get to that point where, this roll-up starts making sense for you and you get going and then you reach a testnet and then a mainnet and then, get traction. But Ramni, I have a question saved for you for the very end. What interoperability would look like in 2025? What are you building? What is that primary area of innovation which you're focusing right now, which is going to help everybody, all the use cases, be it OP, ZK, and everything?
Well, I mean, I could spend a couple of hours on that, but I'll try and do justice in the 0 seconds we have. But I mean, one thing I want to add to the last thread we were on was that it's fascinating. So the Nitro bridge that we have an Explorer. And if you look at the top 5, top 10 routes, you have Scroll, you have ZK Sync, and you have OP, and so hello, yeah. So at this point, it's not quite evident that this one is winning over the other, and we haven't even started with the whole AVS stack, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's all a way of securing consensus. So in the long run, obviously, that those trade-offs are still being played out. From a router perspective, I think I like this analogy, right? Again, interoperability is like the airline industry, right? I mean, from 1905 to 1937, you had the Wright brothers and those cycles with flaps or wings or whatever you want to call them, and 3 out of 10 sort of crashed. So that was the first wave between, I would say, 2018 to 22 or 21. A lot of bridges. Torchain was the only one that survived. A lot of them crashed and burned. I mean, even the big ones, right? I mean, you could look at, obviously I don't want to name any because there might be somebody in the panel and probably get into heat later. But a lot of them got hacked. And then from 1937, the whole there's this Zeppelin called Hindenburg, right? Somebody had this bright idea, fill up a balloon with helium, and it can take a lot of people. It worked spectacularly till it did not, right? That's a whole TVL-driven model where you sort of aggregate liquidity. And I think the true era of aviation started after the 1937 Hindenburg crash, and that's what we're seeing in interop. We see a lot of different approaches. You see router, layer zero, XLR, polymer, hyperlane. I mean, it's amazing. It's a bit like how the financial industry has evolved and the... Yeah, it's on sleep. I don't know why it's ringing, but anyway. It's fascinating. I think what we have is a few different approaches. Our approach is, we have solvers, we have very asset-light model where the Nitro bridge, for instance, is super fast, super cheap. It has solvers, it's secured by the Cosmos chain. A few others who have this approach. But again, there's flexibility in terms of what secures the underlying chain. We have an additional ZK option. We are working with the likes of Eigenlayer and Symbiotic to sort of extend Ethereum security to Cosmos. And I think what will be interesting is, even with interop, people are going to see it's not going to be a cost thing. I mean, I'm not going to go to an app and say, listen, you guys need interop, give us so much fees. Like even 12 months ago, it was, how much can you give us in grants? We'll give you 200K, 150K. I think it's going to be a far more engaging conversation. Listen, let's not make it a pain point. Let's make it a thing of joy. We're going to together work and put together a plugin or a service, and then we have these things called adapters. A router has adapters. Some people call them zaps. One click, you can go into 10 different chains, do 15 different actions instead of, changing your wallet, changing chains, like, just depositing your, getting your ETH into the whole Eigenlayer thing to farm 6 months ago was a huge problem. And so one of our engineers came up with a thing called Stakeys, right, where you could, in one click, take your Ethereum or USDC, go to Lido or Stader or whatever, roll your LRT, and then allocate it to Eigenlayer or whatever, right? So you'll have a lot of bundling and cross-chain atomicity in a way, and you'll have conversations with these apps where they tell you, listen, I'm going to give you so much throughput and transactions and volume. How can we sort of jointly share the value there? For technology perspective, again, the solver model is super interesting. Solvers are going to underpin a lot of the transactions, the liquidity, etc. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I can go on and on, but let me sort of take a break then and give the mic.
Right. No, I think, thank you, everyone. 3 cell phones on stage fell today. They are all in shock. One went to sleep a while ago. But I'm sure you guys are not in shock hearing, these magnificent and tremendous use cases coming to real life. And I believe, if you want to build your next use case, and if you want to, worry about how it is to be built, just talk to us. Zeeve and Router are there to, help with your infrastructure, and these phenomenal use cases to guide you with the experiences, we can share with you in the infrastructure lines. So yeah, thank you very much for being here and in giving the insights on different use cases and different industries. We'll love to hear you again, maybe at Denver during the Zeeve Rollup Day. Thank you very much.